This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on 39 Dunedin News, a warning about the Maori language as it's celebrated in school. The Dunedin City Council is divided on new forestry standards. And local volunteers are publicly praised by the Mayor. Good evening, I'm Craig Story. A resurgence in Maori culture has the staff of a local school praising the city's new direction. But as the nation marks Maori Language Week, the number of native speakers continues to fall, and that's got staff warning against complacency.
It's a different take on education. These pupils at Te Kura Kaupapa Māori o Otapoti learn about fire safety. And as this is a full Māori language immersion school, the entire curriculum is taught in Te Reo. The school is just one place in the city preserving the Māori language, and pupils love it.
It's cool, there's all my friends here, and then the kiddas, some of my family.
It's an exciting week for the school's 27 pupils as the country celebrates the Māori language. These tamariki have been involved in the making of an associated video, and the Kapahaka group is planning a public performance. School staff say Dunedin residents are open and receptive to Te Reo nowadays, a far cry from what it was like in the early 90s.
At that time I felt myself personally that I couldn't be Māori. So who I was really oppressed. Now, and I didn't really enjoy Dunedin at the time, I always went home.
She says the school's pupils help normalise Māori language as they speak it outside the classroom. And she urges others to follow suit because the future of widespread Te Reo is in doubt.
Even though we might hear it, and I know and I'm saying that there's been so much more organised in terms of Te Reo Māori and Tikanga Māori here in Otipoti, we can't be complacent because the numbers have declined of speakers of Te Reo Māori.
Kawe Small says the language can be saved if children are supported in learning it, particularly by local and central government. And she's among those who hope Māori Language Week continues to encourage the preservation of New Zealand's native tongue. Ko David DeLorean, no toru te kau mā iwa te kerere o Otapoti.
Kapai. Just over $34,000 in rates has been waived by the City Council. The money would have been collected for 5 historic properties currently being upgraded. Councillors are happy to waive rates in support of local heritage redevelopment. It's not the first time rates relief has been approved for historic projects in the city. Developers can also apply for a 3-year rates freeze. The sections include a 130-year-old brick stable in Crawford Street, due to become a microbrewery. And Dunedin's oldest pub, the Empire Hotel in Princess Street, is also being refurbished and reopened. Proposed new rules about forestry plantations are dividing city councillors. They're debating the contents of a submission to the government in respect to industry standards, and there's differing opinion around the table.
Dunedin's bordered by forestry plantations, some owned by the City Council, and councillors are debating a proposed national environmental standard for the industry. It's set to remove variation between different councils and their policies, simplifying things for forestry operators, but it's causing concern in the Civic Centre.
The landowner next door has a responsibility of keeping a fire break, not the forestry company. When they plant on your boundary, you have to keep your land clear to prevent a fire, and that should not be. It should be the forestry owner's responsibility to keep their own fire break.
The council's forestry on reserve land isn't threatened by the government proposal, although it does away with resource consent for plantations, providing criteria is met. Councillors support the intent of the new standard and want to be involved in the process.
I think it's one of those topics which has significant implications for us, but which is a pretty dry topic to get your head around. So I'd just like to thank staff for putting their head to what the implications of this will be locally, and I think doing a pretty comprehensive job.
But there are concerns about the cost of monitoring compliance and of welding pines getting out of control, and that sparked the issue of timing, with submissions due in a couple of weeks.
Given that there are a number of issues and some of them seem to have some substance, do we have time in which to alter this to satisfy the concerns of the experienced rural members amongst us?
Councillors made some slight amendments to the draft submission, but ultimately it's for the government to decide how local forestry is managed into the future. Rosie Mannins, 39, Dunedin News.
A South Dunedin business which employs and trains disabled residents is receiving a boost. Cargill Enterprises is the trading arm of the Otago Disabled Citizens Society, and it's been given $37,000 for a new forklift to increase operations. Z Energy is providing the funding through the Good in the Hood campaign, and with Toyota New Zealand, Cargill Enterprises is also about to receive a new work van as a result of the national competition. As some residents continue to feel the effects of last month's flooding, volunteers are being praised for their help. The Dunedin City Council is publicly thanking members of Task Force Green for playing a major role in their ongoing relief effort. And there's still no let-up in requests for assistance.
When widespread flooding seeped through the city, so too did an army of volunteers, constantly out and about, knocking on doors and checking that residents were okay. The City Council-sponsored Task Force Green played a major role in relief efforts, and now members are being formally thanked for their help.
Task Force Green were great because they were able to, we had control over them. With our volunteers, they were a volunteer army, numbered the hundreds, and so we were able to do door knocks, which we just couldn't have done without people giving up their free time.
Many of the dozens of Task Force Green members were personally affected by the flooding, and Pickford says that makes their volunteering efforts even more impressive. Those being thanked say they appreciate the recognition, and they're displeased they can make a difference.
You know, there was quite a few people out there quite stressed and stuff like that, and able to sort of help them was good.
The insurance bill for flood damage and associated costs is already more than $28 million, and requests for support through the Mayoral Relief Fund are still pouring in. More than 60 people have applied, collectively receiving tens of thousands of dollars, and council staff say there's still about 40 local families displaced.
We hear anecdotally this could be another 60 or 70 on top of that that are managing to cope on their own. Maybe they've got friends and family. But yes, it's still very real for many people in South Dunedin and around the district. So we're going to do a further push for people to come forward.
Pickford's urging residents to prepare for future flooding, even as he acknowledges the many locals willing to help with the clean-up. David DeLorean, 39, Dunedin News.
Still to come on 39 Dunedin News. The slump in dairy prices threatens a local business, and young children are getting their move on.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Hedges are something we almost take for granted. A good hedge needs regular maintenance to look its best and to add value and character to your property. For all your hedge care needs, call the team at SGC Services on 0800 783 453.
Discover New Zealand's most innovative museum, Toitu Otago Settlers Museum. 14 stunning galleries, 3 distinct architectural styles, and 1 million intriguing stories are yours to discover at Toitu Otago Settlers Museum. Open daily next to Dunedin Railway Station and with free admission. Toitu Otago Settlers Museum.
Are you within your legal rights to take one life in order to save another? Welcome to the ambiguities of law. Because whilst the law may be clear, there is still room for both yes and no.
What? No!
The decision will depend on logical thinking and the art of argument. And this is what we learn at New Zealand's first and world-renowned law faculty.
You can stop now!
I'm Latafale, and this is my place in the world.
Take your place in the world.
For 30 years, Southern Clams have harvested New Zealand littleneck clams in the coastal waters of Otago. Hand harvesting to order at the right place and time ensures perfection of every clam you eat. New Zealand littleneck clams, harvested for you by Southern Clams.
Wake up time and another frantic day ahead for Haraway's Oat Singles. With 3 delicious flavours in each pack, they don't last long with this family. They're so convenient and tasty, and they're ready in seconds. Haraway's Oat Singles are the ideal breakfast or snack on the run for today's busy families. And there's a flavour to suit everyone. Beat the rush and make sure you get your favourite flavour. Haraway's Oat Singles. Try new Kiwi Favourites Caramel Variety Pack.
Welcome back. More local companies have been placed in liquidation, at least one as a result of the declining dairy industry. Total Dairy Solutions owes just over $52,000 to creditors, and the Dunedin company was placed in liquidation because demand for services has drastically decreased with the nationwide dairy slump. Other local liquidations include a South Dunedin contracting business and a Central City trailer hire company. A Parry Street sandblasting and painting business is also in liquidation, owing more than $300,000. And on that note, let's take a look at today's financials. Negative territory across the New Zealand NZX and the ASX Dow Jones, dropping a hefty 128 points. The FTSE down 75, and a small rebound from yesterday's tragic 280 loss to 28 positive across the Nikkei at 20378. Brief and small tidal rises across the NZD, the Australian dollar, the yen. The pound still looking quite weak at 42.80, and the euro at 6017. The government needs to change its focus in protecting native sea lions. That is the message from local academics, following the New Zealand sea lion's newfound status as an endangered animal. And Stefan Meyer from the the University of Otago's Zoology Department joins us to explain. A very good evening, Stefan, and thank you so much for coming. What's the current focus for managing the sea lion population?
So the current focus on the New Zealand sea lion population that breeds on the Auckland Islands, which is the main breeding population, focuses on reducing pup mortality and also to understand how lowered reproduction is linked to the population decline.
Okay. Is that focus working?
Presumably not, because what we found is that the population will hardly show a positive effect to a management that focuses on pup mortality and reproduction.
Okay. So what evidence do you have to support what's happening?
One evidence that we have to support this idea is that, for example, we know that many New Zealand sea lions died due to disease since 1998. And you could now, for example, say, okay, let's go into the population and protect New Zealand sea lions dying from disease. But we found that many pups will die anyways, even if we protect them from disease.
Okay, so the focus of the what the current management plan isn't working.
Yeah.
Would it be easy for the government to change its current management plan? Would it be easy?
Yeah. Well, they're just about to change the plan with a stronger focus on pup mortality. Before it was the focus more on adult survival. And I think what they should do, that's what our research does suggest, is to stick with the old plan and focus stronger on adult survival, and just to do better in reducing impact of fishing, which is occurring at the Auckland Islands.
So with fishing, what are the other threats to the sea lions?
Well, there exist natural threats. For example, there could be years when there's not much food available, and what a sea lion would do in that year is to reduce reproduction, of course. But to avoid that the population is declining in those years, there's an insurance, and that insurance is high adult survival. And then there's unnatural sources of mortality, which is fishing. And if we just kill too many adult New Zealand sea lions, the population is not able to deal with years when there's not much food available, for example.
Do you think that the New Zealand population can bounce back?
I think yes. I think if we entirely reduce fishing impact on this population, we can at least stop the population decline.
The population decline, is this a recent marked population fall off?
Yes, it started approximately in 1998, and since then the population has declined by about 50%. So the number is halved since then.
And that's quite a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
How long do you think it might take for the species to return to healthy levels?
That's hard to say, but what our model does tell us is that if we remove fishing impact, it's possible to stop the population decline. We should see this effect after 6 to 10 years.
Okay, long question. If nothing changes, could New Zealand sea lions become extinct?
Yes, it's hard to tell when this will happen, but we will lose one of our iconic species if we won't change anything.
Stefan Meyer from the University of Otago, thank you so very much for your time. Appreciate that. After the break on 39 Dunedin News, another historic place nears restoration, and will prepare you for the coming weather.
Do you want support for your breathing? You are not alone. In New Zealand, over 600,000 people have some form of breathing difficulty, especially with the high pollen season in New Zealand. Puff Plus is an excellent natural product developed to support lung function and breathing difficulties. Puff Plus is so effective, you get a no questions asked, money back guarantee on the first purchase. Give it a go, you have nothing to lose. Call now, 0800 502 402. Take as directed. If symptoms persist, see your healthcare professional.
Bring some more joy into your world by adopting one of our adult animals at SPCA Otago. For more information, visit our website spcaotago.org.nz and give one of our adult animals a second chance at life.
It has no arms, no legs, has a drill in its mouth up to 8 hours a day and still never complains. It's one of 72 mannequin torsos in our new $3.8 million dental simulation lab. The first and only facility of its kind in New Zealand. My name is Nikki Rose Coltolaro, and this is my place in the world.
Take your place in the world.
Moving around the corner, overseas, Best Removals Otago Limited, specialists in household removals and business relocations, as well as packing materials, secure storage. Best Removals can do it all. 0800 266 834.
Quality Tailors, the alterations specialists, adjusting alterations made to measure. Quality Tailors, fitting Dunedin for over 15 years. Call 477 8028 162 Princess Street, one shop down from Darling Street.
Sweet dreams. Sweet dreams.
39 Dunedin News. 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 39 Dunedin News.
your movies, records, books and games, pre-loved needs and vinyl records, 45s, DVDs. A South Dunedin family-owned business for over 15 years. Check us out on Facebook, opposite Westpac on the sunny side of King Edward Street.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Pregnant? Need to talk? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pregnancy counselling services are here to help. It's free, it's confidential. Call us now on 0800 773 462.
Welcome back. Hundreds more local children are learning the basics of movement at the city's top sporting venue. Sport Otago's Fundamental Skills program continues to attract grants from community organisations, and the financial support means it can be expanded throughout the region.
Getting active at the stadium. Hundreds of local primary school pupils learn fundamental movement skills as a precursor to sport. Community Sports Advisor Emma Maxwell says it's important to invest time and money into encouraging young children off the couch.
I think it's worthy because it gives them the skills and the confidence to be active, so they don't necessarily have to play in a sport, but they can have an active lifestyle which is benefit for their health.
The program's just received over $8,000 from the Otago Community Trust. And Maxwell says without that financial help, these activity days couldn't be run.
We apply for funding to be able to run these events for these students. There's nothing really much out there on the market for new entrant to year 2 for activities and events like this. So it's always a positive when we can actually give back to the schools and the community helps with that.
The program's also for teachers who learn activities to implement in their respective schools. And Maxwell says it's all about setting kids up with an active lifestyle early on.
We basically want to get them involved, get them confident, get them active and show enjoyment through all these fun and challenging games.
More than 400 primary school children are involved this time around. And with increasing support from schools and funding agencies, Maxwell says there's room for growth.
We're hoping to get out into more schools through our On Your Marks projects and events that we can run throughout each term. So it's definitely developing and progressing as a necessary thing.
There's hope this fun day will spark a lifelong passion for fitness among participants, which could see these guys just a hop, skip and a jump away from more serious play in the stadium. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
Renovation of the historic former post office in North East Valley is nearing completion. The redevelopment of the century-old building began earlier this year, and emphasis is being placed on preserving and celebrating its heritage aspects.
Baldwin Street isn't the only landmark in North East Valley. The historic former post office building on North Road is getting a makeover to house a cafe. And building owner Martin Harnan says once open, it'll show the 100-year history of the building and surrounding area.
North East Valley was actually a town as opposed to just being a suburb of Dunedin, and it made it, quite an important place. So, when you think about what this building was, had to be important. It was triple brick. It was solid. It was made to be of a preeminent nature that people thought, hey, that's an important government facility.
Harnan's working with the Dunedin City Council and Heritage New Zealand to meet regulations on historic aspects. And he says that works primarily about maintaining the old facade.
It's mainly from the south and the visual parts from the road here, and we've had to compromise on the back parts where there's some chimney and extraction and things. But it's what it is really. It's very plain and straightforward.
This space has been empty for over a year following the closure of a souvenir store, and Hannon says despite a period of neglect, the building has great bones, which he hopes to preserve and improve upon over the remainder of the year.
There'll still be work to do. There's little bits and pieces, and then mainly the outside landscaping and upstairs we'll sort of move on to making that more habitable and bring it up to the standard it deserves.
The cafe and roastery is set to open in the building next month, giving the renovation team time for a final spruce up. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on 39 Dunedin News. A resurgence of Maori culture over the past few decades is being praised as the local immersion school celebrates Maori Language Week. City councillors are divided over proposed new rules for forestry plantations as they make a submission to the government. And members of Task Force Green are being publicly thanked for the work during the June floods, while some locals remain displaced. And now let's have a look at what's happening in tomorrow's Otago Daily Times. Bruce Query.
Good evening, Craig.
Good evening.
An ODT analysis of district health board funding across the country shows that the Southern District has the lowest per person income in the South Island and also the third lowest in the country. We've got some local reaction to that, and the National Health Board has challenged that analysis. There's a follow-up to the courthouse story that appeared in today's ODT. Strengthening work has been done on the temporary High Street courthouse. Dunedin's national gumboot throwing champion is getting serious about training just 2 months before she heads to Italy for the international championships.
Holy.
And fresh, Rebecca Fox finds out about the origins of the famous family's Sunday roast.
Go on. And sport?
Yeah, well, there's moves afoot to change the Otago Sport Awards. Current rules prevent the Mighty Highlanders from qualifying, let alone even winning the team award, but there's pressure on for those to change.
Bruce, thank you so very much. A full day of news, all for Wednesday. Thank you. Time now, let's have a look at our weather.
Our update is proudly brought to you in association with Silverhorns Puff Plus.
And a weather shot is of a wonderful mural in Bathgate Park. Handsome. And around the city today, the central city 8, the beautiful gardens it was 8, and out on the Taieri 9 degrees. There is a theme going on there. All right, having a look at the situation, a low pressure system pushes over the country, bringing a colder southwesterly airflow, and little relief is foretold, I'm afraid, as it holds position until the weekend. The forecast for the main towns in the lower South Island for tomorrow: Invercargill, fresh southwesters going fine late in the day, and 9. There is a theme. Gore, fresh southwesterlies mostly fine, 9. Taonau, easing southwesters becoming fine, and 9. And Alexandra, light to moderate norwesterlies, 9. Queenstown, fresh southwesters becoming fine, 9. Say it with me now. Oamaru, fresh southwesters becoming fine, 9. Wanaka, moderate southwesters becoming fine, 9. And at Twizel, fresh southwesters becoming fine. It's a simple theme. Here in Dunedin tonight, it's going to be, you can say it with me now, 9. A low of 5. Tomorrow, southwesters, fine, and 9. And you can see that Thursday, it looks more of the same. Finally, to the Southern Clams tidal and fishing information. Low tide tomorrow morning, 8:18 a.m. High tide tomorrow evening is at 1:57 p.m. Fishing conditions are good tomorrow, best at 10:21 a.m. You may want to take the day off work. I give you permission. And on behalf of the good men and women who are hardworking and heroic, 39 Dunedin News, I'm Craig Story. Good evening.
This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
Welcome to Southern Attractions. Over the next half hour, we'll take you on a virtual tour of the historic city of Dunedin and its magnificent wild landscapes. We'll introduce you to many of the features that make this place so welcoming to visitors. And we hope this show will help you decide how to enjoy our city's many attractions and inform you more about Dunedin and Otago. At 46 degrees south, about halfway between the equator and the South Pole, sits Dunedin, also known as the Edinburgh of the South, or colloquially as Dunners.
and the Maori name is Ōtepoti. It's the second largest city in the South Island of New Zealand and the principal city of the Otago region. It's considered to be one of the 4 main urban centres of New Zealand for historic, cultural and geographic reasons. The Dunedin urban area